Hi guys, Mrs. Kernu here. This week we're going to be reading a realistic fiction selection called The Bully. We are also going to be learning the strategy of summarizing and the skill set of theme. So we need to be able to read the story and summarize, and we need to be able to figure out the theme as we read. We're going to go over vocabulary right after this quick video.
Getting along. What actions can we take to get along with others? Billions of people live in this world. How is it possible for so many people to get along with each other? We create rules and ways to communicate with each other to help us in all kinds of social situations. We take turns. We also learn to share what we have with others. With a world this big, we have to find ways to get along with others. What can you do to get along with someone today?
Hey guys, so after that video, I'm thinking to myself, what can I do to better get along with others? So maybe I shouldn't be arguing with my kids over TV time. Just kidding. I'll continue to argue with them because that's what moms do. All right, guys, let's take a look at vocabulary right now. Our first word is abruptly. When you do something abruptly, it's sudden. It says playing in the park ended abruptly because of a sudden rainstorm. So the clue sudden in that sentence, that context clue should tell you that this happened right away. Our next word is ally. My little brother says that a dog is the best ally, even for a superhero. So an ally is someone kind of like your partner. Collided. The players collided on the field and both fell down. What would happen if two cars collided? That would be a pretty bad crash. So colliding is when things smash into each other. Confident. You guys should know this word. The more you practice before a concert, the more confident you will feel. So confident is that feeling inside where you realize, I can do this. Conflict. To resolve their conflict over who would use the remote control. Wow, I'm making all sorts of connections to that video about getting along now. The sisters finally agreed to take turns. So a conflict is a problem. We have to figure out ways to solve those conflicts. Intervene is when someone gets involved. So when the referee saw the players arguing, he had to intervene to stop them. So when someone intervenes, they're getting involved, they're trying to help. Protective. Every bicycle rider should always wear a protective helmet. Right now, we talk about what's going on in the world, and we say that you should be wearing a mask because that's protective gear. You could protect yourself that way, and you can protect others that way. Those are protective face masks. All right, the last one is taunting. Outside the window, a squirrel seemed to be taunting my cat. And guess what? That squirrel is taunting the cat. Squirrels like to tease my cats all the time. You see my cat over here in the window? That's what he's doing. He's looking for squirrels. So when have you seen people taunting other people? So I'm thinking when we get to the story, the bully, taunting is probably going to come into play here. All right, guys, these are our vocabulary words. Let's now take a look at our skill and strategy. We're going to talk about summarizing first. Let's see if I can make that a little bigger. There we go. All right, when you summarize a story, you include the most important details. As you read, you can decide which details are most important by asking yourself, would I understand the story without this detail? If the answer is no, the detail is important. So, boys and girls, at the end of our story, one of your activities, you're going to have to summarize the story briefly. Now, you need to include the most important events from the story. I don't want to know what Susie ate for breakfast if it doesn't have something to do with the entire story. So, we're going to look at that as we read. The theme of a story is the message or truth about life that the author wants readers to understand. To identify the theme, think about what the characters do and say and what happens to them. Then decide what lessons or truths about life can be learned from the events. So, what we're going to do while we're reading is we're going to look for clues as to what the characters are learning about life that you can also learn about life. All right, boys and girls. So now we're going to finally get to it. This is our story, The Bully. Genre is realistic fiction, which means this could happen in real life, boys and girls. You could be making some real connections to this story as we read. Things that might have happened to you or happened to a friend. Our essential question: what actions can we take to get along with others? Read about how one student tries to deal with a bully. All right, let's get started. Michael saw the trouble coming from all the way at the end of the school hallway. There, standing by the stairs, was JT, the school bully who enjoyed taunting anyone he felt like at any given moment. JT was tall and strong, so few of his victims were willing to stand up to him and defend themselves. Michael hated the idea that he let JT get away with these offenses. Yet, like most of the other kids who were picked on, he just took it quietly and waited for the unpleasant moment to pass. JT walked directly toward Michael, his eyes locked on the books that Michael carried under his arms. When they met in the middle of the hallway, JT stopped abruptly and snapped at Michael. "Hey, let me see those books." A couple of students watched as Michael held out the books he was carrying, trying not to tremble to reveal how nervous he was. JT grabbed a math book, looked inside for a second, and then shoved the book at Michael, who dropped all the books he held. "Hey, those books are school property," JT barked, "so don't let them fall to the floor." Then he walked away, laughing loudly. Michael, his cheeks turning red, half kicked the fallen books. Suddenly, a hand appeared beside Michael and picked up an adventure novel as it slid away. "You look like you could use an ally," a friendly voice said with a laugh. So here we have Michael going through a tough time with JT, and yet here we have someone swooping in to be his friend. So let's find out who this person is who would like to be his ally or his buddy. Michael turned around and saw that it was Raymond. He was the school's star baseball player, basketball player, and everything else player you could name. Michael couldn't believe that Raymond was stopping to help him. The two had barely spoken to each other since the school year began. "Thanks," Michael sighed with relief. "It's so confusing. I don't know what his problem is." "I've been watching you in the halls," Raymond said, "and as I see it, you need to find a way to end this conflict with JT. Michael nodded, stuck for what to say. "Well," Raymond continued, I can tell you what my grandmother used to tell me whenever I had a problem with someone. She'd say, 'You can catch more flies with honey than vinegar.'" Looking puzzled, Michael asked, "What does that mean?" "It means that being kind to your enemies may be more effective than being angry at them," Raymond explained. "What if you just intervene and tell JT to stop picking on me?" Michael suggested. "I think he'd leave me alone if you threatened him." "That's vinegar," Raymond laughed as he walked away. "Try honey instead." That night, Michael thought about the advice that Raymond had given him. It sounded like a good plan, but deep down, Michael wasn't very confident that it would actually work with JT. The next day in school brought Michael's usual misery. There stood JT, and Michael knew it would just be a matter of seconds before the two of them collided in the middle of the hall. All right, guys, so right now, let's make a prediction. Do you think that Michael's going to stick with Raymond's plan of using honey or being nice to him? Or do you think he's going to be on the the offense and attack? Let's see. As JT came nearer, Michael wished he had Raymond's protective arm to stop the bully from attacking. Then suddenly, the unexpected happened. JT accidentally tripped. He fell down, and his own armful of books went flying across the floor. For a moment, all was silent. The crowd of students in the hallway froze, waiting to see what JT would do next. As JT slowly stood up, Michael had an idea. He bent down, quickly picked up JT's books from the floor, and offered them to him. Michael said, "You look like you could use an ally." JT was speechless, completely thrown by Michael's act of kindness. He took the books and muttered quickly, thanks? As JT walked away, Michael caught Raymond in the corner of his eye. Raymond gave him a big smile and a thumbs up. "My grandmother would be proud of you," Raymond said. "It's just honey," Michael grinned. "I hope it sticks." Okay, so to wrap up the video, we're going to talk about the theme or the lesson that was learned in the story that you can learn about life too. So I realized that Michael was having a really tough time with the bully until his friend came along and gave him some good advice. So we could say that maybe the theme of the story is to help your friends, or thinking about the advice that he was given. I'm thinking that we could simply say, be kind, be nice to people, could be the theme of the story. If we want to go a little deeper, we could say that even if someone is being unkind to you, you can still be nice to them. So our theme for this selection has to do with kindness. All right, now we're going to look at that strategy of summarizing. Summarizing requires you to pick out the most important details. So if I was thinking about this story, I might think about, what was happening in the beginning? Michael was having some issues with JT. In the middle, he gets an ally. His friend comes along and gives him some good advice. And at the end, he follows that advice, and it seems to have worked. So please keep these skills and strategies in mind when you're completing your activity. It's important to summarize as we read and to consider the theme so that we can fully understand the story. Have a great week, guys.